Originally released on October 28, 1977, News of the World is the sixth studio album by the rock group Queen. This album will be getting a special 40th anniversary deluxe box set release on November 17th. Now, to some extent, this reminds me a bit of the 50th anniversary box set release of Sgt. Pepper. But there are going to be some differences and there are going to be some similarities, and I wanted to talk about this and just kind of discuss it here and get your feedback on it. Now, interestingly enough, this is only coming out as a super deluxe edition. This is going to feature 3 CDs, a DVD, and an LP. Now, let me talk about what's going to be on each disc here. Disc 1 will have, of course, the original album. From everything I've read, this is not any kind of a new remaster. In fact, from what I've read, this is taken from a 2011 master. In many respects, I think that's good, because if there really is no improvement you can do by remastering it, there's no point really. Sometimes albums get remastered on these sets just so that they can say it's remastered, and all they've done is make it louder. So I'm okay with the fact that the original album included on CD is not a remaster. Now, Disc 2 is called Raw Sessions and consists of alternate takes, demos, and rough mix versions of every single song from the album. I'm going to take a moment here to actually quote verbatim from the press release, and I'm going to read the following here. For many devotees, this Raw Sessions CD will be the most intriguing component of the new release. Mined deep from long vaulted studio multitrack tapes, this extraordinary paralleled album brings to light never before heard alternative versions of each of the album's 11 tracks. Every lead vocal is different, as are most of the lead guitar parts, and a great many other instrumental details. Here we experience We Are the Champions anew, and for the first time at its full recorded length rather than the edited 1977 album cut. Here also is the chance to discover peak-era Freddie Mercury vocals on a track that nobody outside of Queen's inner circle has heard him sing before at all. All Dead, which originally featured Brian May on the original album doing the vocals. So on this alternate version, we'll hear Freddie Mercury singing this. This reminds me a lot of what was done with the Sgt. Pepper 50th anniversary release on both the Super Deluxe edition and with the 2 CD version, where the second CD featured alternate versions of the entire album track by track. So that should be cool and interesting, I think. Now, also Disc 3 includes 19 rare tracks featuring live BBC sessions and instrumental tracks. I've heard that some of these tracks have been possibly released before, some of them haven't, but that they're all very rare. So it will be nice to have them together in one package. The DVD is a documentary. It's called Queen, the American Dream. Featuring never-before-seen footage from the band's 1977 U.S. tour, both on stage and backstage. According to Queen's YouTube page, this is a brand new documentary. Now, also included in this will be a 60-page hardcover book. It will be all images from what I can see. There's no text. If you watch the trailer for this release on YouTube, on Queen's official YouTube page, it appears to be all images, no text. There will also be a News of the World press kit, so I'm assuming this is a replica of the original press kit that was originally used back in the late 70s to promote the album. There's supposed to be 3 posters. This is confirmed on the Queen YouTube page trailer for it, but when I look at the images on Amazon, I don't see any posters, but I'm going to assume that they are included. And also, if you look on the Amazon page, the image of the entire set, there appears to be a replica of an all-access backstage pass. This is not mentioned in the YouTube trailer, but it is shown in the Amazon picture. We'll see if this is actually part of it. These things can sometimes change from the time they're announced to the time they are released. I remember when the Beatles Sgt. Pepper Super Deluxe Edition came out, a lot of fans said they wished that the Super Deluxe Edition had included the vinyl version as well. And apparently Queen has heard you, and this box set does include a vinyl as well, vinyl copy of the album. But here's the interesting thing. Unlike the Sgt. Pepper version, which of course was a complete remix of the original album. This is not a remix, of course. The CD is just a 2011 master. But however, this vinyl release that's going to come with it has been described as a pure analog recut of the LP taken from the unmastered tape. So they're going straight to the original master tape, straight analog, transfer, and it says from the unmastered tapes. So does this mean they're not mastering it for vinyl? Now, I know we tend to think of mastering and remastering when we think of CDs, but even vinyl, even with vinyl, you take the tapes and you master it for vinyl. So I guess I think they're saying there will be no compression whatsoever on this vinyl release here. If so, this could be interesting. Now, I don't know if it necessarily be good if that's the case, but it would at least be interesting. I know I talk a lot about, compression and how too much compression was used for a period of time on CDs and how too much compression on CDs can ruin the sound of an album. But even in the days of vinyl, compression was used. It was used to keep the highs from peaking too high and distorting, and to keep the lows as well. And, you'd push it in a little bit, but you still had tons of dynamic range. So, a little bit of, some compression is good, and it has always been used on vinyl recordings as well. But still, this vinyl release intrigues me, and I'm hoping to find out more about it. Once again, it's described as a pure analog recut of the LP taken from the unmastered tapes. And that's the part that intrigued me, the unmastered tapes. It makes me think they're not going to in any way master it. Who knows? Who knows? Well, could be interesting. While I'm making comparisons to the Beatles' 50th anniversary Super Deluxe edition of Sgt. Pepper, there's one other little thing I should bring up. Unlike the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper Super Deluxe edition, this Super Deluxe edition of News of the World has no Blu-ray. There's going to be no Blu-ray of, say, a 5.1 mix, high definition, stereo. And so I'm sure that's a disappointment for those of you with 5.1 systems. Another interesting thing I should point out, with this Super Deluxe edition of Queen's News of the World, that's all we're getting. There will be no single CD release, and it makes sense because, after all, it's not being remastered, it's not being remixed, it's a 2011 master. So there'll be no 2 CD version, there'll be no release of the vinyl separately, this pure analog recut as they're referring to, that will be released separately. It's only going to be in this box set. So in that respect, this release does share a similarity with the recent 50th anniversary Super Deluxe edition of the Rolling Stones' Their Satanic Majesty's Request, which only came out in the Super Deluxe edition. At least that's what we know so far. I don't know if any of this will change between now and then, but this is all coming out in about a month on November 17th. So I think by now we would have probably heard if they're doing anything different, but you never know. Now, as far as pricing, when I first went to Amazon to look this up, I think it was somewhere around $150, but now it's gone down to $128.24. And of course, these prices can change during the pre-order period. Amazon does have a guarantee where if you pre-order it, you get what's called their lowest price protection, that from the time you order to the time it ships, whatever price it went down to the lowest during that time, you're guaranteed that lowest price. And I really do appreciate that about Amazon. News of the World is a great album, but I'm kind of curious why they started with this one rather than with A Night at the Opera, which to me is really their Sgt. Pepper. And I think that if they did this with Night at the Opera, for the most part, there'd be no question in my mind. I'm going to start putting away my pennies so that I can afford to buy it when it comes out. But I am very intrigued by this set from Queen. And unlike the recent 50th anniversary release of Their Satanic Majesty's Request by the Rolling Stones, which I passed on, at least for now I'm passing on it, I'm thinking I might get this one. And if so, I need to start putting away my pennies so that I can afford to buy it when it comes out. We'll see. So what do you think? Does this release intrigue you? Do you think you might get it? Are you going to pass on it? And either way, please let me know why. I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say in the comments. And stay tuned for more videos because there are some more Super Deluxe editions coming out in the very near future that I'm going to be commenting on as well. All these Super Deluxe editions, it tells me one thing. We're all getting older. Bye.